the delay. We're having trouble with our streaming software. We're trying to get everyone in. It wasn't broadcasting to YouTube. It wasn't broadcasting to Facebook. We've got YouTube back, but we haven't got Facebook back. So I apologise for everyone that's watching on Facebook. You won't be, to be quite honest with you. That normally watches on Facebook, you can't at the moment. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the streaming software. We're having trouble getting guests in. So it's just me for the moment. Welcome to Friday Night Pint. My name's Nicky Hawkins. I'm sorry if I look a bit tired. I've had a late night last night. I was out last night. Oh, excuse me. Oh, that is a real yawn, by the way. I was out late last night. Me and Ryan, we did an audience with Dean Ashton. We presented it at the Brewdog. It was a fantastic event. We filmed it, so there'll be some sort of content coming around that for the patrons and for your normal YouTube later on down the line. So that's fantastic. It was a good night. Did anyone attend? If you did attend, please let me know. Make sure you can all hear me. Let me just see. Wow, this is really, really poor today. The streaming software is going mental, so it's not picking up my microphone. Let me try and fix it. So sorry, sorry about this. There we go. Audio.
That should be better. Yeah, absolutely. Streaming software. I don't know what is going on today. Maybe we're going to need a bit of a change. But I've got things in tow. Horrible day today. Yeah, we're going to have to see if we can get some guests in. If not, let me just after the new you. I know you guys are plotting away. I'm talking all things West Ham. But first of all, while we are waiting for Brian, the London Football Awards was last night. Declan Rice took the main prize. I'm sure you've all seen the clips. What do you mean? Change it back. Change what back? It should. Okay, let me change it back.
Is that better? Is that back to normal? Yeah. Okay. So the wife just come down and told me it was it was better before. So we'll go back to the old microphone. Yeah, the London Football Awards was last night. Declan Rice won the main prize. I've got to say something about the manager as well. We'll get into that. But first of all, let's get Brian in. Just right on time, Brian. Are you having as much trouble?
Yes, mate, definitely I'll tell you what's going on with the Gremlins tonight, man. The internet's been on one.
Yeah, I know. I was just saying the streaming software went down. My microphone's gone down, so I've got to change it back to the normal one. But it is, yeah. Somebody said I sounded like Zul the gatekeeper. But yeah, man. Listen, we were just talking about the London Football Awards. Did we get robbed last night, Brian? Obviously, Declan Rice won the main prize. Sort of a victory for West Ham, sort of. But you wouldn't have known it from his speech. But I've got to say about the manager of the year. The manager of the year was, I mean, does it put these awards on the back shelf? Just think, fuck these awards. This is ridiculous because it just looks like they're passing it around.
Yeah, no, totally. Do you know what? The one thing I always thought about these awards is it's really odd that it takes place at basically the end of February. Like, do you know what I mean? When there's like a couple of months left of the season, it's quite odd because so much can happen in that time between now and the end of the season, which puts a different perspective on it. And if you look at sort of like past winners in different categories, it's always been like this. There's always been someone that's been given the award who you could then look back retrospectively and said, oh, maybe someone else could have deserved it. But I think, if you look at it, Postecoglou got the manager one. I guess you can throw Moyes in the mix just due to the fact that we won basically the European Cup, and at the end of the day, that's something to show from it.
The only London club to win a cup, by the way.
Exactly. And then you got I guess Arteta was another close runner, I guess. But it's really hard how they evaluate it because they take it's kind of like calendar a year. So most of the stuff they're looking at is from last year. Because then you could say with Postecoglou, yes, he got off to quite a really strong start with Tottenham, but
Yeah, but when was that, Brian? August.
that's what I mean. And this is why it's so confusing. Do you know what I mean? This is why it's so confusing. And that, just to add to that as well, obviously Declan Rice, as you say, got the main award, right? So obviously that's going to be for all the stuff that's been done last year. So then if he's got that, then there is a shout for Moyes to have got it. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird one for me. It is a bit of a weird one.
See, look, I think Declan's worth it. You know, I'm not going to deny that. You know, I thought he's been excellent for us for years and years and years. But you know, these award ceremonies, they really confuse me at times because Declan got it. I'll talk about the comment that he made after when he was asked by I believe it was Jill Scott about what was his favourite moment.
Right.
Because I think there's a bit of confusion now. I think it was maybe you know, poorly asked by Jill Scott, which, you know, I think they've got as much interest in these awards as everyone else, to be quite honest with you. They don't really know what's going on. They don't really know how to conduct it. But yes, he's got it. Listen, when they give out the things like the Ballon d'Or, now obviously I'm not comparing this to the Ballon d'Or, but people say, like, you know, is it an individual award? Because they sort of start saying, well, you can't win the Ballon d'Or if your team hasn't won anything, and you can't win the Ballon d'Or, you know, if you haven't sort of like contributed in a big game and all that sort of thing. Now, if there's someone that's worthy of an award last year, it's got to be Jared Bowen out of anyone, you know. I mean, coming into February, he scored 14 Premier League goals. He scores the winner in the European Cup final. Now, as I said before, I don't think Declan's worth a Player of the Year award without a shadow of a doubt. But if you know, how do we measure these these awards? Because Jared Bowen, you know, for moments this year, just for moments, he's got to be the one up there, isn't he? Surely.
Yeah, it's a fair argument, and definitely if you're looking at it from the back of last year / last season into this season, hands down. I mean, look, his goal record speaks for itself this season, and again, sort of bringing it slightly back with the decision with the Moyes situation. It's a tough one for me because I do hear what the majority is saying about, you know, won a trophy and stuff like that, but it's the same argument that, you know, pundits give us when we have that conversation about poor form and stuff. If you kind of put the European win to a side and you start analyzing the team's performance all of last season, moments in this season is poor, and then you maybe if you take that back as well, take it back a little bit and really start unpicking it, it's a different story. So as we all know, the European win has sort of like papered over the cracks for so many things, and it's the stick that we're being beaten with a little bit with regards to, you know, showing some, you know, you guys be grateful and all that kind of stuff. But I do hear you with Bowen. I do hear you. I think, like you said, for moments he has been definitely the key player, and Declan didn't really have a good. Well, no one had a great season last season, did he? He was still probably our best player, but by his standards, it wasn't stellar stuff, you know.
Not for him, no. Listen, I think he's consistent anyway. He's been excellent for Arsenal this year. There was a little bit of controversy because he was asked by Jill Scott on stage his moment, but you know, I think what a lot of West Ham fans were waiting for in this moment when he got that, you know, I was watching it and I was thinking to myself, come on, Declan, just for one time, just acknowledge your time, because he's such a, like, the thing with Declan is he's such a PR machine. He is such a PR machine that, you know, he sort of weighs up the risks and rewards for what he says, I think. listen, I don't think his West Ham love will ever wane. I really don't. You know, I think he'll have a lot of love for the club. But we've got to accept he's an Arsenal player now. You know, and like you can't just keep on talking about your former club when you're playing for a current club. You know, it won't go down well. You know, but there was a moment where he could have taken the opportunity to, you know, in that moment to give a little bit of credit to his former club, you know, and maybe just get a few people on side, because there is still arguments about the cup. You know, Arsenal fan. I mean, they're an odd bunch, Arsenal fans at the best of times. But that it's widely said by Arsenal fans he didn't want to tin pot trophy. He couldn't wait to jump to Arsenal and all that. Listen, I don't think that's he's never going to think that's a tin pot trophy. It's his first trophy.
What did he say then, Nick? What did he say?
I'm getting there. Right. So Phil Scott, I think, sort of give him an easy out in this,
right.
But I think he should have took the opportunity just to say what I'm going to say. So Jill Scott said to him, "What's your favourite moment of the season?"
Right.
Yeah. Now, bear in mind that this goes over a year, so it would go through. Even Arsenal on their website have acknowledged it was half a season for West Ham and half a season for Arsenal. That's won him the prize, right? So he turns around and says, "What's your?" Jill Scott says, "What's your favourite moment of this season?" Right now, what she should have asked is, "What's your favourite moment of the year?" Yeah,
right.
I think that give him an easy out. Because he turned around and he sort of thought about it. And you can hear people in the crowd going, "Conference League, come on, just say it one last time. Leave us with something." And he sort of thought about it. And I think his PR gear kicked in and he went, "The goal against United, my first Arsenal goal."
Yeah.
And he just left it at that. But I think it was asked in the wrong way by the presenter.
Yeah,
it was asked in the wrong way, because if she'd have turned around and said, "What's your favourite moment of the year?" last year, there would have been no other answer. But she gave him an easy out, in my opinion, and he turned around and went, "The first goal against Arsenal." Listen, Declan Rice is going to come up a little bit later as well with like the Mikel Antonio stuff, what he said about him there. That's kicked off again. It just seems like this Declan Rice thing keeps on going. Yes, we know he's an Arsenal player. Yes, we know he scored in the 6-0 win. We will never forget it. But for me personally, I'm not going to talk for everyone. I will never forget him because he was one of my favourite players ever. Yes, I'm gutted he went to Arsenal, but I understand the reasons why he did go to Arsenal. Listen, 2 years' time could be completely different for Arsenal. If they don't win a trophy by then, he could be looking to go pastures new. But, for his sake, he's going to be hoping that. But I think he could have taken that opportunity there, Brian. Just one last time, just give a little tip of the cap. It's the last opportunity he's going to get. He's never going to get again because it's the only time he's going to be mentioned, sort of in a season where he has played for us and he's won an award that's contributed by playing for us. Just turn around and say the Conference League was excellent.
Yeah, exactly.
He could have even just turned around and went, "The Conference League was the highlight of the year, but I'm looking forward to more Arsenal trophies."
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I agree totally. But like you said, I think he played the PR game. He's a pro at that, man, and that's what he done. Do you know what I mean? He kind of just thought about where he's at now, and that's it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck to him. I wish him all the best. I really do. You know what I mean? But when he comes back to London Stadium, I don't want to see him pinging in 35 yarders. But it is what it is, isn't it? But let us know what you think. Rob. The weird one for me was the Postecoglou thing, and I'm not even saying this should go to Moyes. Moyes, obviously Moyes did win the trophy. Arteta's got to be the manager of the year. Surely got to be the manager of the year.
Look, I think you can make a case for all three, but if you were looking at it 1, 2, 3, whatever your first and second would be, Postecoglou would be third, right? There's no way out of those three. If you did a survey with everyone, they would probably put him third. And then as you said, if Arteta won it, you can't argue with it. If Moyes won it equally, you can't argue with it, because out of all three of them, he's the only one that's got something to show for it. So I think, yeah, and as we already said, it begs the question how these things are done and facilitated, and how, you know, these decisions are made. But my thing has always been, why is it in February? It just don't make sense.
No, I mean I'm assuming, I'm going to assume that it runs from January to December last year.
Right.
And it's just the time when they get maybe the only time when they get the chance to do the awards.
Yeah.
I mean, the London fucking football, it's just, they're all pointless, just pointless shit anyway. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is that? The London football, who gives a shit?
I know.
Obviously us, because we talked about it on a stream, but
but mate, listen. So it's been a long old. I don't know what it's been like for you, but it's been a long old slog for me. But it started off in positive fashion with a win Monday night, and a win that was done convincingly as well. That probably surprised all of us. It definitely surprised me. We got a win against a bogey team, and we done it really well. Had our moments where we were a little bit shaky, but all in all, I thought we played some good football, and sort of like a good way to bounce back after a poor start this year.
Yes, I was relieved. Because it was starting to feel like a little bit like the Allardyce era, when he was in his last knockings. We'll take some comments in a minute, by the way. It started to feel like that, and we needed it, because I think it was just one of them things. Listen, I've got no doubts, right? There's performances that we've had in the last sort of couple of months where if one of them results, if that Sheffield United result would have stuck, I think we'd have got some more points on the road. On the road or at home, I think we'd have got some more points. I just think it's one of them things that started to sort of build up in the back of the players' minds. But I think that the thing that really helped them and the thing that really boosted them was the return of Lucas Paquetá. Now, Lucas Paquetá comes back, the whole place is lifted. Listen, he's creative. He does things even when he doesn't do anything. He attracts players, he occupies players. And that's what we've been missing. We've been missing, if you look over at the games we've lost and lost badly, we've just suffered from a lack of any sort of presence over on that side. And it's given the opposition the chance to push up, but also pack in tighter, by not having to defend on that side when we're going forward.
Yeah, definitely. I think I mentioned it as well. Like, he just naturally, it gave us a better balance, didn't it? It gave us that natural shape with him being on the left, even though he dropped in. He's got his little sparring partner with Emerson, and the link-up play with them too is fantastic. And I just think everyone sort of ups their game 5-10%. Do you know what I mean? When he's playing, and when we've got the three guys up top playing, it just allows us to create a lot more opportunities and be a bit more fluid.
No, yeah, I agree. He brings the balance perfectly. Even though he is sort of playing out of position, with that that left-sided role. That's not really his role, but he seems to fit in there perfectly, and it gives him a chance to invert and get a bit of space out there and come inside. And it just brings a natural balance. But the worrying thing for me, Brian, is that that is how reliant we are on him. We are that reliant on him that we have to wait for him to come back before we get any sort of tune out of players. That for me is what worries me about the manager. You can't always have them elements. There's going to be times when Paquetá's not playing, when Kudus can't play, when Bowen can't play. You can't just keep on going into games, chucking games away, and not competing in games because you're waiting for that piece of the puzzle to come back. That is what being a manager is. In my opinion, that is what being a manager is. That's what being a good manager is finding the ways to alter the shape, alter the way you play to morph around what you've got available.
Mate,
Sorry.
Yeah, go on. I was going to say I couldn't agree more. I mean, the thing is, as well, is that we can all see it. my fear has always been the fact that where he's been out so long and we haven't picked up any win, it's like the players on the pitch are believing the same thing now as well, that they can't win a game without him. And for me, that's the worrying thing. If you look at it over the last couple of weeks, where you've seen how Liverpool have had like a couple of big crucial games and Klopp's just gone mad in throwing in the kids. Obviously, yes, his squad's been thin bare, but he's had the bravery to put in, 16-year-olds and put in inexperienced kids to go and do their thing in really big major games. Do you know what I mean? And then when you sort of look at it from our perspective, it's not that I'm saying with the kids, because we do have kids on the bench, but even with some of our fringe players, they're not getting looking. They're not getting a look in. And if you just don't, with Moyes, if he don't fancy you, he don't fancy you. And I almost feel it's a waste of time talking about fringe players, because we know if there's an opportunity for them not to play, he will not play them. And you've got to feel sorry for players like Maxwell Cornet, especially because that's his position effectively. Do you know what I mean? That the problem area that we have in the side, if you've got one or two out, is where he plays, and he's not getting looking. And if you take like the game on Monday, all right, credit where credit's due. He is out. He is with an injury, but I guarantee you, if he was on the bench for that game, he probably still would have brought on Glenn Johnson when he did, rather than Cornet. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
It's. I mean, we was talking, as I said, Dean Ashton last night. Dean Ashton got his football debut at 16 years old at Crewe. We asked him, like, did you feel you was ready at the time? He went, not really, but the manager was willing to give you, an opportunity to go out and, give yourself sort of like 20 games to show if you were ready. 24 games, and the kids these days only get 20 minutes, and if they don't do it, they're out the side again. And I said this: we've got so many talented youngsters. So many talented youngsters, and you're never going to be able to get experience in playing football unless you play football.
Yeah,
And I said, there's so many sort of fringe players at the moment that are, what's the word? They're not going to play. They're not going to play. They're past their sell-by dates. I'm like, look, what is the point of Cresswell? What is the point this season of Aaron Cresswell? Just tell me that. Apart from when he had to play them couple of games, what is the point of him? He's a seasoned pro. He's probably on about 75,000, 80,000 pounds a week. I don't know. You know what I mean? That's just a rough guess, guessing on our squad. He's about 35 years old. He doesn't play. If he's played 90 minutes this season, apart from the games he's had to start, I mean, like coming off the bench, I'd be very surprised. Why are we still, why are we still, contemplating these players? We're moving on people like Tilo Kehrer. Tilo Kehrer, for all his faults and that, I thought there was a decent player in there.
Yeah,
I never
agreed.
thought there was, I never thought he was a complete loss. I'd rather, if you give me an opportunity now, I said, right, we've got a left back crisis tomorrow. Nobody else is available. Who would you rather stick there? Aaron Cresswell or Tilo Kehrer? I'd say Tilo Kehrer. Because he's got more energy.
100%. Yeah.
He's got more energy. He's got a bit of legs about him. Look, he could make mistakes, but them mistakes will only, will only add up to, what Cresswell lacks in pace, because he'd get killed by some of the wingers in this league.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why clubs do that. And that is one of my sort of pet peeves with the manager.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well. Going back to Kira as well, his versatility for me made him an asset, because he's someone that can play across the back line. He's also someone that can dab his hand in defensive midfield. It's somewhere I wanted to see him be tried, but we didn't try it. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. What it is with our team over recent years, especially, is that we've lacked sort of transfer strategy. So there hasn't been a very clear strategy which has been obvious for fans like you or me to see, where there's a clear emphasis on development or there's a clear emphasis of transition of players. So when they get to a certain age, we look to move them on, or we don't renew their contract, etc., etc. What we seem to be doing for the last, I would say, 5 years plus is we've been giving generous contracts. Do you know what I mean? Due to players, giving them to players that have done stuff for us really well historically. So you can take Obona for that as an example. Now, he's someone I know we both love. I think he's been immense for the club. But when it comes to, contracts being renewed, etc., he is one of several players. Antonio, you could put in there too. There's so many you could put in there. Where you have to kind of look and evaluate what's the strategy in this, giving players like another year or a couple of years. And then what you then get is you get what we have now, which is one of the oldest squads, if not the oldest squads in the Premier League. And it just don't make sense.
I believe it's the second oldest squad.
Yeah.
Second oldest squad in the Premier League.
Yeah, and there you go. So it doesn't make sense, and it lacks a bit of strategy for me. And I don't know if that's contributed to the transitions that we've seen over the last couple of years with let's say the managing and the coaching staff, people leaving, etc., where there's been a lack of foresight. I don't know if it was due to sort of like the money that was spent a couple of seasons ago and last season, and a lot of hopes riding on the players that come in and didn't really pull up any trees. I'm not sure what it is, but you can't, like, if you're bringing in people got to come out as well, and you've got to have some kind of strategy. And I haven't really seen that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Let's take some comments then, because we haven't taken any comments just yet. Obviously, we've talked about the London Football Awards. Don B says, I've not heard of the awards either. Paulie Walnut says, just for the trophy. I think he's talking about David Moyes winning the Manager of the Year. We're a bunch of us West Ham fans. We're moaning about Moyes not winning an award, but we want him out.
Look, with that one, so no, I'll jump on this. So Jacob has a point there, because I was listening to the radio earlier on, and a bloke called up and basically sort of said, "Yeah, Moyes out, but he should have won the award." And it is kind of a bit two-faced, but I guess
he definitely shouldn't have won. I'm not being funny. He definitely shouldn't have won that award, because apart from the Conference League, he's done nothing.
Well, there you go, and that's exactly. And as I said earlier, and as a stat, it kind of, the Conference League situation has painted over so many cracks, and it's the go-to for media to basically tell us fans to shut up because we should be grateful, and it just winds me up.
But Mikel Arteta should have won that award, hands down. I mean, he's that spent 4 months at Spurs. Overshadowed the geezer that's spent the last sort of couple of years rebuilding Arsenal from zeros to heroes. I know. Look, I'm a West Ham fan. I don't give a shit either way, to be honest with you. If it ain't our manager, don't really give a shit. But it just, I think it invalidates the credit of the award. Like, it's just like, well, are they passing it around? Will it be, Thomas Frank's turn, or whoever, next year? I mean, are they going to give it to, what's his face down the road, the Chelsea manager? Forget his name now. Fucking Pochettino.
Pochettino, yeah.
Is it just everyone's got to have a turn? Because that's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. But Ange Postecoglou is a good manager. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
he managed them for 4 months. 4 months, and they didn't even have a good December. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mean to be, I don't give a shit either way, to be honest with you. I don't know what I'm moaning for. Moyes is the only London manager to win a trophy. Absolutely. Jason McKean says, says, did West Ham get any awards? I don't believe so.
No.
Last year, I think Noble got a contribution to football.
Yeah, he did last year, so he got a contribution.
But I do not think we won any awards this year.
No, we didn't.
We was the only team to win a trophy.
Yeah. Harry Redknapp got the contribution this year. So you basically had Rice got the Player of the Year award. You got Cole Palmer from Chelsea. He got the Young Player of the Award. The Spurs goalkeeper got the goalkeeper one, and Ange got the manager, and what's his name? Elise from Palace got the goal of the season, and Harry Redknapp got the outstanding contribution to London Football Award.
Okay, that's fair. I just, I don't give a shit, to be honest. El Chico, well put, Nicky. Declan, totally agree. I think that was with the what I said about Declan Rice. Paquetá made a big difference on Monday night. He brings up the level with those around him, absolutely. I was fully expecting us to lose against Brentford. I think so was we all. Felt like an unexpected surprise to watch us play football for the first time in months. I think, I don't think it's perfect. But I think it was far from perfect. I think we're still conceding too many stupid goals and relying on our goalkeeper to keep us in it. But, it was much improved. Freiburg looking good tonight against Bayern. Yeah, of course, we've got Freiburg coming up on Thursday, which would be, I'm trying to travel there between us. I'm trying to get over there. So, we'll see how I get on later on in the week. Emerson looked much more comfortable down that side, down that left with Paquetá there. First time he's looked well for a while. That third goal for us was so vital at 2-1. I was worried they'd come back. We was all worried, but we pushed on a bit more. Big turnaround to how we'd hold back to be more afraid of conceding. I think I was even shitting myself at 4-2, to be honest with you. Can't see Pac leaving unless the investigation comes to a conclusion. That's the point. Listen, I don't think it's going to be Man City coming in. I don't think it will be. I think it'll be a different club. I think Man City, especially if they win sort of like a barrage of trophies, they're not one to go back and circle back around. Once they come past, they look at your wares, they check their availability. If for whatever reason the deal doesn't get done, they're not one to come back next year and be desperate for players. They're not like that. They're not a team like that. They just come round, they have a look. I think the team that we're going to have to be wary of, I think, and for two of our players, is Arsenal again. And I think we're going to be
for Paquetá as well, or
for Paquetá and Kudus. I can see it.
Kudus, I can see that. Paquetá, I'm with Black Country. It's one of those ones where definitely with Man City anyway, there has to be a conclusion with his ongoing situation. Otherwise, they won't touch it. There's too many eyes, too many lawyers watching
their ongoing situation.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess with another team, but I could see that. The Kudus one, I could see Arsenal sniffing. I could see definitely a few clubs sniffing. Come the close of this season, 100%. The vultures will be circling.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult unless we have a strong end to the season. Frankie James, I dread to think how big the rebuild will be this summer. Do you know what? I was thinking about this the other day. It seems like we need a big rebuild every summer.
Yeah.
Does it not? You know what I mean? Like, you look at the squad and you think, we need a big rebuild this summer. Like, it just seems like we need one every summer. We must be the only club in the Premier League that just needs a constant rebuild. Cockney Buccaneer Mabama is off now. Yeah, could be. Definitely could be. Don't think he's signed a contract. Don't think he's intending to sign a contract. Big loss. But is he ready yet? He's not going to wait on the wings. But it's going to be a big loss for sure. Mabama should have been loaned out in Jan. He's not getting a game. We could have been played every week in the Championship League One. Now he'll leave on a free with no football.
Good shot. No?
Yeah, good shot. Jacob Lloyd says, I'm glad some people agree with me because I find that Emerson has been slept on by some fans. He's like, really?
Nah,
most fans I've spoke to, I think he's my hammer of the year. Without a shadow of a doubt.
A lot of fans been eulogizing over him. He has dropped off a bit, but so has everyone else. But definitely the first part of the season, he's been immense. Even
though Bowen's got 14 Premier League goals this year.
Yeah, nuts.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Hopefully, with the 4 points back this week, we'll give the boys a real big lift to propel us up the league away from the bottom. As a Everton fan who we play tomorrow, we will be getting round to that game in just a second. I'm travelling up tomorrow, so we have to end it probably about 9:30. So I can get my hours in before I start driving up to Liverpool tomorrow. Is Ryan not on this anymore? Ryan, he's still on this. Yeah, he's been a little bit busy personally lately, and obviously personal life always takes precedent over. But he'll be back in the next few weeks, I'm sure. But it all depends on his personal circumstance. It takes precedent. Unfortunately, but he will be back. Of course, he'll be back. Jason, our keeper, has already been. Our keeper's been brilliant. He's talking about Areola, obviously. We'd have been embarrassed a couple of times without him, but with Areola, we would be fucked.
Yep.
Fair play, man. He has been excellent for sure. I understand have a good character on cheap wages, but he's falling out after summer. He's talking about obviously talking about Cresswell. Nicky, it's because we're not ruthless enough. We keep wanting to hang on to players because we are loyal to the past.
Yeah.
Plus, Moyes prefers Premier League players, even if they're too old.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Lack transition of youth, but they're not playing the Moyes ball style, so there's no cohesion from youth to first team. Which more Moyes madness? Yeah, there is definitely a lack of transition between the two. We was talking about this last night. What makes that? And I used to say, but how did you used to get them situations where a player would just be picked from the youth? So say a Wayne Rooney, you'd know Wayne Rooney was excellent anyway.
Yeah,
and you'd probably just be waiting for him. But there's obviously like times when, look at Liverpool. They've got that young kid at right back or left back, wherever he's playing at the moment, who played in a cup final, but become a permanent member. I don't think he was someone that they were sort of like. Well, let's just put it this way: squad number was 84. You know what I mean? So that's how often I think he was playing. But Klopp's excellent at that. Picking them up. But where there's a problem, and I'm going to tell you where there's a problem. They do not train in the same place anymore. If a first team player goes down injured, is there any chance for him to look over to the youth training and go, "Come over here, son. We need you to fill in." They don't do that anymore. One trains at Chadwell Heath and one trains at there was even I was even reading a story the other day about who was it who was saying, fucking hell, first team player. I think it was a player called Joe Lolly.
Okay.
Remember a player called Joe Lolly?
Yep.
He got text by Steve Cooper that he wasn't in the first team plans anymore, and he's basically turned around and said, like, you need to go over and basically like go and train with the over 21s, under 21s,
right.
But you're not allowed in the first team compound anymore. So they've got their own building, and the youth players are not allowed to mix in the building. They're not allowed to. I mean, I don't see how that helps.
Nah.
I don't see how that would help in a club, and obviously, like, that's Nottingham Forest. How does that help a club if you can't mix the youth with the first team? They should all be around each other to learn, if not anything, just to talk.
100%. There's so many stories you've seen of past players, right? When they've spoken about the influence they had at coming in and training with the first team. If you look at stuff Anton Ferdinand has said, if you look at stuff people like Joe Cole, Jermaine Defoe, they've all spoken stories about when they've like come in back from loan or whatever, and they're training with the likes of Paolo Di Canio, Trevor Sinclair, etc., and the impacts that's had on their career, even when they've gone on to move on. And like you said, like not being around and rubbing shoulders with the likes of those kind of experienced players, you're not learning anything. You're not adapting.
I mean, even Dean Ashton was telling me last night, just to pass someone in the hallway, as a youth player, someone that's had a bit of experience. He said for him it was Teddy Sheringham. When Dean Ashton retired, he was only 26. He had 2 seasons that he was injured for. That he was 24. So when he was sort of playing with Teddy, he was about 22, 22, 23. So he said he'd won everything. So I'd pass him. I know Dean was in the first team at the time, but if it had been in the youth, just to pass him and be able to make it, to ask him a couple of questions. Do you know when you do this? When you do that? How do you do this? And how do you get your mind around that? Things like that. Or for him to be passing the training pitch and seeing a couple of them doing shooting practice and turn around and go, hold on a minute, like, stop what you're doing. Try this instead, or try that instead. You know what I mean? Like things like that happen, 100% happen. It can't happen now because they ban them from each other's buildings. I mean, at West Ham, they don't even train at the same ground anymore, let alone the same fucking pitch. They don't even train at the same ground. So, yeah, I can't see that. I think when you've got a football club, it should be a club. You know what I mean? Like training's training. I think you should all train together. Obviously, the first team going to train on their own, but they should be surrounded by the youth because they will pick up from it.
Definitely, couldn't agree more, mate.
Before we do go, let's take a little 5 minutes to preview the Everton game. They got 4 points back this week, which they're going to be buzzing around. They obviously have got another charge on the languishing over them, same as Nottingham Forest, but that's going to buoy them a bit, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's going to buoy them. It's going to give them some confidence. The home fans are going to be up for it. There's going to be a slight freedom. Getting those points back have moved them up a couple of places up the table. They're not out of it, but for me, Everton were always going to be safe anyway. But it's just that 10 points did hurt them. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, they're going to go into this with confidence. They've obviously beat us in the reverse fixture at home, which was arguably one of the worst games for us this season so far. It's going to be a tough game, Nicky. I think a lot of people are up for this and think this is a gimme based on our last game at home to Brentford. But I think Everton are just that staunch, tough team, and our record at Goodison Park. Yeah, exactly. Our record at Goodison is not great, but it's been better than it was historically over the last 5 years or so. But with that being said, I think we equally go into the game with a bit of confidence. It'll be interesting to see if the lineup remains the same from the game on Monday due to the fact that Phillips is back. And it's a funny one because I think Moyes is in a sort of a rock and a hard place with Phillips because that's his signing. So he is going to look to play him when possible to kind of prove a point, I believe. So whether he brings him back in or not, it would be harsh to drop anyone out because I think Souček actually had a good game. Alvarez is 1 yellow card away from 10 yellows, which will give him a 2-game ban. So he's been walking that tightrope for a little while. So, he's someone in contention. But I feel the performance of him and Souček on Monday was really good. It's going to be a real nutritional game on tomorrow. And I feel whoever scores first will definitely be in the ascendancy to sort of like wrestle the game. If Everton get the first goal, the whole home fans are going to be really buoyed and we're going to be like weathering it. Whereas if we stick it on them and get the first goal, it's going to put them under a bit of pressure and they're going to have to come out, which therefore makes us set traps. So I think it's a close one. But I think if I'm going to put a guess on it right now, I'm actually going to go for a 1-1 score draw, and that's without really analysing it. I need to look at the stuff. One interesting fact though, I know Everton they've drawn 5 of their last 6 games. So it's that's why they're not an easy team to knock over.
They don't concede a lot no more.
Nah. That's right. It's just their problem, which has been scoring, isn't it, Nick? And that's been their thing, really.
Yeah, it's been their thing, and it's going to be our thing. But we do concede a lot. Someone just said to us, "Love the tops, boys. Where did you get them from?" It looks like we're matched because we've got the same sort of shirt on.
We are twinning, aren't we? Yeah.
I got this ages ago, man, in the sale, like cheap. I'll be honest.
Likewise.
This is a couple of seasons old now.
Yeah, same for me.
Well, yeah, have you seen a new training kit?
Yeah. I don't mind it. You know what, the pink one, the pink and the blue.
Pink in it, yeah. My boy's got a couple of dolly kits here that got all the pink in it. I don't mind it, to be honest.
Yeah, it looks right.
How do I see this one? I think they're going to be buoyed, Everton. I really do. I think they're getting that 4 points back, moving themselves up the table a little bit. I mean, I never like to see any team sort of suffer through, the points deductions from, things that, don't affect the pitch, in my opinion, don't affect you on the pitch. I think it's ridiculous. but they are going to be buoyed that they got them 4 points back. It shot them up the table a little bit. For me, they haven't played since, have they?
No,
they haven't played since.
No.
So this is the first game, which is fucking typical. Yeah, they're going to be looking at this and thinking, right, let's get these points on the boards now and just fucking put this to bed. You know, it's going to be a tough game, tough Daesh game, but Lucas Paquetá coming back, I think we can unlock him. I think Bowen as well, you know, back in form. You know, he can punish them, but we've got to be very, very careful. I think this is a high-scoring game, you know.
You think so?
I think it's a high-scoring game. I think it's a 2-2 or a 3-2 West Ham.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think this is a high-scoring game, but I think they're going to be, they're going to be buoyed for it. But you know, we've got to get back on track. There's no doubt about it. You know, people are still losing points. Man United, for all of their good form, they've now lost their informed player. And the other day, what did they do? They went and dropped points again. So listen, we're not out of this race. We just got to start doing what we did at the beginning of the season, grinding them out, grinding these results out. Like, I mean, proper, like, weed grinder, get you the two spikes in together, grind it out to the result. It's going to be tough, but if we can find a bit of resiliency, we can win this game, definitely.
And it will set us up nicely, right? We've got, basically after this, we've got Freiburg sort of sandwiched in with the Burnley game week on Sunday. So get a win here, going on into Thursday with plenty of confidence, and then again Sunday with a very winnable game at Burnley, and then that getting a win there too would no doubt propel us up the table. And because if you look at the teams around us as well, like you said, it's all getting a bit congested. You've got Wolves coming in round the back there, Chelsea not far off, Newcastle being a little bit inconsistent, but then you look just above with Brighton, and as you say, Man United. What you want to do is you want to sort of close up that gap there, basically, just to stay in the mix, basically, and stay in the conversation. I've seen actually just in the chat there with Freiburg, it looks like it's 2-2 now. But I tell you what, I saw that the first 10 minutes of that game, Nicky, and the left backs, I think it's Gunter, he scored a belter, mate. They went 1-0 up against Bayern Munich, but he scored a nice belter in the bottom left corner, and I thought, oof. But
listen, people take Freiburg as a given because we beat them twice. But football don't work like that, man. You know what I mean? Like, look at Arsenal. We beat Arsenal twice, and then they come and whopped us up 6-0. So different moments of different seasons. Of course they're a threat. Of course they're going to be a threat, but we've got enough to get past them. If we can get a nice, at least a nice comfortable draw out there, and come back and beat them here. Quarterfinals, mate. We'll be dreaming in them semis again.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's take some more comments in before we shoot. New training kit. How about the new sign outside the porter cabins? Yes. Do you know what? I see something like that, man. Like some sort of fucking. They've had like a letter missing off the wall or something. Yeah. And fuck knows what they've done, because they've got some moody fucking company to come and make a new M for the the outside. They was missing the M in West Ham United, and it doesn't even fucking fit. It's not the same font. It's not the same colour. I mean, I'm just thinking, sort it the fuck out, man. Jesus Christ, you're a multi-billion-pound company. Sort it out. Yeah, it is embarrassing. Just quickly, do you believe that rumours that Nolan took charge in the last game? Absolutely fucking not. I don't believe any rumours at all.
Yeah.
To be fair, they put a W upside down. I think they have. Yeah, there you go. Look, it's an upside down W. Yeah, fucking embarrassing, man. Go and get it sorted out. Jesus Christ! And if there's someone out there that does them sort of signs, sort it out for them. But there we go. All right, let's start wrapping it up then. Thank you very much, because I you know what, I'm falling asleep. I had such a late night last night, and I've got such an early morning tomorrow. But thank you very much, Brian, for joining me. But thank you guys so much for joining us on Friday Night Pint Live for this week. As I said, we'll be building up towards the Freiburg game after tomorrow's fan cams and stuff from the Goodison Park. If you're at Goodison Park, come find me. As I said before, I'm travelling on my own again tomorrow. So I may need you to come and film for me if you want to. If you want to volunteer, hold the camera. I might give you a little cheeky $5 or something to go and get yourself a burger with. But there we go. Thank you very much for joining us. One thing left to say, Brian.
Come on, you Irons.